Welcome, everybody. We are back. This is the AFC West show. Had a couple of weeks off there, but we are now back. We're good to go. We're all set up. And hopefully for the future going on every week, we'll be back with a show. Great to be back. Thank you so much for all of the support and listeners and everybody out there supporting the network. Tonight we're with my friend, my co-host, Omar. Omar from Ball and Buds. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on, Rob? My brother, I am doing well. Thank you, my friend, for, as always, having me on to talk a little bit of AFC West goodness. Too bad we're missing out our other co-host tonight, but
yes.
Sure will still be a good time. Yeah,
Lisa will be joining us back next week. She had some stuff going on, so with the with everything a little bit up in the air with us being able to record and all that fun stuff, she kind of didn't have the time to sit down with us tonight. But she will be back next week, so we'll be back to the three of us. But for tonight, it's just the two of us. Before we get started, I just want to talk real quick, briefly about the Let's Talk Sports Network. Please, if you haven't already subscribed to the network, go on to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe, hit the likes buttons for all of the shows that you like. Sign up for the notifications so you know when your favorite show is coming on. It'll let you know, and you can view us live like we are right now, or record it, or whatever you want to do. But please subscribe and have fun watching whatever is your favorite show there. I also want to talk real quick about my own personal sponsor that I have here now with the Let's Talk Sports Network. Bar Anticipation, bar I used to work with in Belmar, New Jersey. Bar Anticipation, where summer never ends. On October 30th, my friend who I used to work with at Bar A, Bully Ray from the Dudley Boys, will be at Bar A hosting a Raw viewing party on Mischief Night. Now, this has the makings of being kind of crazy being on Mischief Night. So if you are in the area of Belmar, New Jersey, go see Bully Ray at Bar Anticipation for a Raw viewing party, Q&A from 7 to 8, Monday Night Raw at 8. And they're also having people come dressed as your favorite wrestler. So if you guys are in the area, go meet Bully Ray. Like I said, I used to work with him. Great guy. And I'm sure it will be tons and tons of fun. Free admission and special drinks all night. Bar Anticipation will be a happening place on Monday night there for Monday Night Raw. So, got that out of the way. We got to talk AFC West. The last time we were here, a lot of stuff has happened.
Wait. You can't bury the lead. You can't go and promote Bully Ray Hardcore 5150 and not let a true fan like myself.
Oh, my
Bully
God.
Ray.
There you go.
Bully Ray. I see you, Bully. That's my man. Actually, one of my best friends is a producer. Television producer for WWF, and he used to do Impact and all that stuff. So I've had the chance to meet a lot of the wrestlers, and Bully Ray, I've met him before. He's pretty cool dude. I know the persona on TV is not as such, but he's a cool dude in person. So hopefully y'all will be getting a little rowdy.
You can't let that get out though, because he likes to have that tough guy persona going on here.
My bad.
But yeah, we go back to the mid 90s as far as working together when we were there at Bar A. His whole thing with ECW, we used to hold ECW events at Bar Anticipation. So we did that, and then obviously his time in the WWF, WWE. Great story, great personality, man. He is the best.
WWF, my bad.
Yeah, he is the best fun personified. I'm sure it'll be a good time there. And the best part about it, Omar, is I got it planned out. My son is actually he plays for a team down in Belmar, right? Well, they have practice that night, Monday nights. They have practice. So literally, my son will be right around the corner practicing while I'm sitting in Bar A, hanging out with Bully Ray. So
nice.
it'll give me something to do while I'm just sitting there waiting for the practice. So that's going to be my Monday night. But so anyway,
that is awesome.
Yes. So we do have to talk some football though. AFC West, a lot of stories going on. If you don't mind, because it just is still a little bit sore in my stomach here. Can we just talk about that Chargers Cowboys games from Monday night?
Of course.
Once again, to me, this all comes down to apparently we do not have a defensive guru as a coach because consistently teams outperform us on an offensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. Dak Prescott threw for 272 yards. The Chargers defense gave up 342 yards of total yards there. It's just every single week, this seems to be the thing where the defense cannot shut down any offense. They lose to the Cowboys 20-17, dropped to 2-3. They had a little bit of momentum coming off a victory over your Raiders. Had a little bit of momentum coming out of a bye. Would have thought they would have been a little bit more prepared for the Cowboys coming off a bye, but I guess that doesn't really matter for this coaching staff. Like I said, defense gave up 342 yards. They only averaged 4.5 yards per play, which to me is insane. And they only rushed the ball for 53 yards in that game. So there's a lot of things that definitely did not add up for the Chargers, and hence it equaled a loss. Omar, what did you think about? Did you watch that game? What did you think about the Chargers' performance in that game?
Yeah, definitely. I was sat there riveted, watched the whole game. My dad's a Cowboys fan anyway, so a little bit of investment there. And I thought about you while I was watching it. It was what I thought it was going to be beforehand. I also am a regular on the Bottom Line Sports. Y'all check out the Bottom Line Sports for Sports Talk Sundays and Thursdays. Shameless plug. That being said, I told them, I said, the Chargers defense is bottom in the league, like literally number 32, I believe. In both close to rushing and passing. I don't know which one is which. One's bottom and one's like 27.
I think they're bottom in passing because they don't have a cornerback that can guard anybody.
Yeah, and they got rid of the high-priced J.C. Jackson signing, so there you go. That doesn't really help them at all. But Brandon Staley makes a lot of curious decisions. That being said, while it would be a close game, I thought more revenge game. And I thought that Kellen Moore would have the number of Dak Prescott, would have had a lot of things scouted out so that Dak Prescott was not able to do the things he usually tries to do, which happened. But Mike McCarthy, with his foresight, which I don't think I've ever said in my life, but Mike McCarthy with his foresight saw the Kellen Moore, intel, the Kellen Moore influence on this game coming, and completely flipped the script with how Dak Prescott had been playing. Dak Prescott went from standing in the pocket like a statue, throwing interceptions, to now running the ball any chance he got after his first and second reads were locked down. That really, really, he was their leading rusher. I think he had almost 50 yards or maybe over. That completely changed the dynamic of the Cowboys offense. The only thing that held them back is the fact that the rest of their running game, Tony Pollard included, are not there yet. Now, once they get everybody in sync, which, as I also said, I think the Cowboys will continue to get in sync offensively as they go along, their defense is top 5 in the league. So, when you have a defense like that, your team is going to compete for playoff spots, championships, and you're going to be in every game. does their offense get to that point? And on the side of the Chargers, what more can you say about the Chargers charging? I know you will talk that over the moon, but I think we're pretty sick and tired of it. You and me included. Even as a Charger hater, I'm getting sick of it. Like, I think that the Chargers have so much talent on their team and so much potential and so many pieces. I mean, you got Mack and Bosa as your ends. Like, who wouldn't love to have that, right? You have Keenan Allen, and when healthy, if Staley wouldn't stop running him into the ground, Mike Williams. Like, you have Austin Eckler, who granted was injured, so he was kind of rusty coming back. It can be forgiven. He's going to come back. I think they desperately need a change, as you have mentioned so many times. They need a change in voice. I believe this Brandon Staley era is over. That being said, we both know the Spanos family. Dean Spanos is very frugal, if that's the word you want to use. I don't want to insult your owner if you like him.
Don't worry, you can insult him as much as you want.
So he's cheap. I don't see him changing coach in season. But if Staley doesn't shape up and get in the playoffs, he's gone for sure. So,
let me ask you a question on that note, because I keep going back and forth. If and when it's inevitable Staley gets fired,
pretty much,
who do you think they go to? And I don't mean like a specific name. Do you think they go to a young, upstart, young, up and coming type coach, or do they go with a more seasoned, somebody who has experience? Which way do you think will help the Chargers more?
In the short time that we've known each other, Rob, although we have talked extensively, so I feel like we've known each other a lot longer, we both know that the Chargers are not going to make the right decision regardless of what is presented to them. But that being said, we also know, as intelligent football minds, that Kellen Moore was not brought in to be the offensive coordinator.
I agree with that, but it's not like this offense is, they're playing good, but it's, to me, I don't think he is elevated. I don't think he's elevated Herbert at all.
I agree. My prediction about him making him an MVP candidate has not come to fruition whatsoever, but I do believe that, that's how the football process works. And I believe that would be the hire. But again, the Chargers never do the right thing. So again, it would not be the right move to do that. But I think that that's what they would do. That being said, I would bring in somebody experienced and somebody that has maybe an experienced, both offensively and defensively. There's not very many good candidates out there. And even the candidates that would have been out there, like a Sean Payton, have proven themselves not to be as shiny as we previously thought with the horrible Broncos. So, what else options are there out there for them if they were to get rid of Staley? I don't really see too many. So
there isn't. And that's what I was getting at. I'm very, very excited for the possibility of Staley getting fired, but then I'm like, crap, what is truly out there that's going to be, a change in the positive for this team. And, you mentioned Kellen Moore. I was very high on Kellen Moore. I thought he was the heir apparent. However, he's not. And it could just be the fact that, hey, it's going to take some time for this offense to come together. Obviously, having Eckler hurt for a couple games. Now you have Mike Williams hurt for a couple games. So there are a couple of other factors out there that are, maybe, causing some different things. Their offensive line, Pipkin is just, he's not good. I was never high on him. I would rather have, Slayer move out to the tackle and then bring in, somebody just to play guard, because I think that's a better move. I think Slayer.
Wait, they have Slater playing guard right now?
No, they have Slater on one side. He's set.
Oh, okay.
He's the left tackle over Sean Slater.
Okay. That's what I thought.
But then they have this guy Slayer who.
Oh, Slayer. Okay.
Yeah, he came in for Pipkins last year and was rated one of the best right tackles from the time he came in as a rookie. He's from Georgia, and he was very good. They ended up moving him into guard and kept Pipkins at the right tackle. I just think they should I don't think Pipkins is a viable right tackle right now. So that to me is an issue.
Now, let me portray to you another question, if I may, or a question, if I may. In that same vein, as we are saying that Kellen Moore has not elevated the offense to the extent that we have previously foresaw in the offseason, how much of that do you put on Justin Herbert regressing this season? Because, I mean, some of those throws he missed last night especially, but just his play overall this season has been a little more inconsistent than past seasons, as well as, I mean, just missing those throws that he normally wouldn't miss last night. What do you think about that?
Well, Omar, I'm going to tell you, I played sports, my whole life, played different. I played football, played baseball, whatever. When you feel that you have to go out there and really win games, and you really have to go out there and be perfect almost, because, you might not have faith in your defense. You might not have faith in your coach. That puts a lot of pressure on anybody, as
right.
good as you can be. Even, when you look at somebody like Tom Brady, yes, he was great, but he also had probably had faith in Bill Belichick as a defensive coach to, pull his own weight, if that's the right way to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes
so
sense.
If you're Herbert and you're going out there, you basically know that you have to be perfect. You have to make every throw. You have to score points, because that's the only way that you're going to win game. You're not going to beat somebody, 14-3. You're not going to beat somebody 21-10. The defense is giving up points. And when you have that as a player, that you have to be perfect, that's when, and a lot of times, you mess up, or you throw a pass that you probably shouldn't have, because you're trying to get it right to that exact point. Mm-hmm. And it's not really what you should be doing. And I think that's what's going on right now, because from a standpoint of physical, I think Herbert has all the physical tools. Mm-hmm. You even see him starting to run a little bit now because of him getting out of the pocket, because him not having enough time to throw the ball. So, all that things being said, I just think he's trying too hard. Mm-hmm. And that's a bad situation to be in as a quarterback, especially if you feel that you have to be perfect all the time, because that's tough. That's a tough situation to be in. And I think that's what's happening right now. And that's what you're seeing with Justin Herbert.
And that makes sense when you look at, and I don't want to disparage him, because I mean, if you look at his stats, he's actually having a really good season. Over 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So he's not having a bad season, but he's been way more inconsistent than his previous self. And so that makes sense that you're saying he's pushing a little harder because of the lack of a running game with Eckler, lack of a defense, which really blows my mind, because that's the whole damn reason you brought Staley in the first place, was to have a good defense. And it's not like you have bad players on that defense. Au contraire, you have a lot of good players on that defense.
And and it's just like the end of that game, the end of that Cowboy game, that throw that he got intercepted was not a throw that he should have made.
Right.
But he was forcing it in there. Mm-hmm. He was trying to basically, throw a perfect pass, because that's the only way that was going to get caught by the Chargers. Right. It needed to be an exact perfect throw. It wasn't. It got intercepted, and I'm sure that's a throw he wished he had back. To me, it still all comes down to coaching. It's all about coaching. When you have players at this level, none of these players are, guys that are, bagging groceries in the offseason. These guys are all professional athletes. They're all gifted in some way. They have pure athleticism. These aren't, this isn't college where, there's 80 kids on the roster. Mm-hmm. These guys are 53 great players, and every team is this way. So to me, what makes teams better, when you look at right now, the teams that are winning and the teams that are favored to win a Super Bowl at this point in time, go to the coach. Go right to the coach.
Yeah.
Sirianni, Shanahan, Reed, all these guys, you look at the coach, and that's where you start. And that's my opinion.
No, I mean it checks out very well because I mean if you look at the horrible coaching state of the AFC West with your coach, our coach, and including Sean Payton, we all wish we had an Andy Reid. So you really do wish that you had a good coach when you don't have a good coach, as a lot of the rest of the league can attest to.
I'm going to say when Andy Reid got fired by the Eagles, the Chargers had a chance to get him. He was open to coming out to the West Coast. It would have been a nice change of scenery for him. And Spanos was not willing to open up that checkbook or write that check.
I was going to say, I remember it being like 7 teams that had open positions at coaching, I believe, when he was a free agent, I believe.
Yep.
But anyways.
Yep. You mentioned the coaching for your Raiders. Your Raiders won this past week, beating the Patriots 21-17, gets to 500 at 3-3, which to me I think is a pretty big accomplishment at this point. You got dual quarterbacks, Jimmy G and Brian Hoyer there in the game. 348 yards total offense. 65, what I stood out to me, 65 total plays that they ran. So they controlled the ball, which I definitely think they needed to do. From a Raiders perspective, great win. The win, where you guys are standing, what do you think right now?
Man, the way that you just talked about that win, it made it sound a lot better than it seems to me or other Raiders fans or even inside the building. You know, this is a very poignant, the word I'm looking for is escaping me right now. But anyways, this very much portends to what Josh Daniels is as a coach. This was by far his best game plan that he's ever had as a coach. And the fact that he's 3-0 against Belichick, and those are the only times he has a good game plan, is really telling about him as a coach in general. It means he's horrible, and it means he only gets up for games with his old coach so that he can get some sort of revenge. Because every other game he doesn't run game plans like this. And even at the same time, while I say that, let's also be fair to the game. He didn't have a lot of decisions to make. As you mentioned, we were up for most of the game. We controlled most of the game. There weren't a lot of fourth down decisions that were crucial. There weren't a lot of kick a field goal, go for it decisions that were crucial. So in fairness to not him, but the game, wasn't many mistakes he could have made in this game because the Patriots are so bad. I'm not happy at all. My dad texted me after the game, and I just texted him back, and I was like, yeah, not impressive to me. Not a good win. It's the Patriots. I'm still not happy with Josh McDaniels. Yeah, he called a good game, but anybody can, what's the old adage? A broken clock is right twice a day. And that's all this is. I'm not impressed. Like you said, the Raiders should be happy with 3 wins, because if they double this and get to 6, that would be a success. And that is also the line that I'm hearing from inside the building and inside the facilities, that the line is 6 wins. If he doesn't get to 6 wins, he's probably going to get fired too. So, well,
next week you have the Bears, a very winnable game.
They better win that game.
I mean, 4-3 at this point in time, I would think that, as a Raider fan, that would, just from a standpoint of wins, that would feel pretty good. And right now the Raiders are giving 3 in that game. Mm-hmm. And over on now, I had to laugh. I had to double check this over under for this game, because the over under is 37.5. That's like a high school game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'll be surprised if it even gets to that, to be honest. I would say, yeah, I'd say below 38 for sure. I can't see, because I mean, let's be honest. if Justin Fields isn't going to play and Jimmy G is going to play, I mean, you're struggling to get even us fans to watch this garbage of a disgusting game that it's going to be. Now, I'm still going to watch, but again, you're going to have either Brian Hoyer, who's 37 years old and at this point is really just there to help be a veteran presence and teach Aiden O'Connell, the rookie, the whatever, the New England way as they have brought over in the playbook and all that. So it's probably going to be O'Connell with a week of game planning instead of just running out there Hoyer last week, who played well, by the way, but he's just old and he's a veteran. He's not going to be the future. You need to start figuring out what the future is. Their backup is Nathan Peterman, who they skipped apparently because they even know that he's not good, like any other franchise he's played for. And they ran out Tyson Bagent, the rookie. So, I mean, that's not a game that anyone wants to watch outside of us fans. It's going to be very low scoring. It's going to be ugly. The Raiders should win. I mean, if you lose to a guy named Tyson Bagent, that sounds like a high school quarterback. You have more of a problem than I do. They should win this game, even with the rookie or Hoyer going out there. So.
Before I ask a question, I got to throw this up. My boy Allen, fellas, good defensive game Monday night, but the Chargers charged. Yes, Allen, they did do that.
That they did.
That seems to be the way that it is and will be. But Omar, I got a question for you now. So I just answered a question concerning where you think, and I know you said, and I sent you something this past week concerning another head coach. But if the Raiders do make a change, same question for me that I asked you, just in the Raider sense, is it more important to have an experienced coach coming in, or do you try to go younger and basically just change everything and just try to get a new outlook and maybe catch one of these new coaches that that might have lightning in a bottle?
Yeah. Again, Rob, you're spot on, and I'm going to give you basically the same answer I gave you for the Chargers. Aside from the fact that if I were the Chargers, I would go more experienced because they have the roster. The Raiders have a little bit of a younger of a roster. So like you said, I try to catch lightning in a bottle with one of these up and coming coaches, and I would try to go defensive if I had the chops. Although I don't really like when they choose between defense and offense. I'd rather you have somebody that's experienced on both sides of the ball. I do get that when coaches are coming up, they are placed in individual, positional groups and things like that, which, cater to either defense or offense. But, you'd always like to have at least a coordinator that has some sort of, ability to run both a little bit of offense and defense. That being said, we all know what's going to happen. Not the right thing. The Raiders, as well as the Chargers, are going to make the wrong decision. But it is going to be the decision that all the fans want, that Mark Davis wants, that everyone in the world believes should have been the same as it ever was if it would have never got changed in the first place. And we could have avoided this whole McDaniels thing. And that is who you sent me this week in the article, the great John Gruden. No matter what he did or what he said, obviously we all have skeletons in our closet. We all make mistakes. We all say things that we shouldn't say. I am not here to excuse his behaviors. I think his behaviors were abhorrent. I think his behaviors and what he said were disgusting. But there's a lot of people, including most of the owners in the NFL, that are disgusting human beings. I say bring him in and let him coach the team because that side of that does not matter to me. In the terms of the team, in the terms of coaching. Now, in real life, I probably wouldn't shake his hand if I met him in the future because I'd be like, you kind of disappointed me with what you said that came out. But as a football coach, these people don't have any morals. They're like poor politicians. These owners, these coaches, I don't care. Just put whoever's the best one in there.
I totally agree with you on that. But here's a question for you. Do you think there's any up and coming like college coaches that might attract somebody's eye? I mean, USC has a coach who
that's exactly where my mind went to as probably the front runner would be your USC Lincoln Riley. Jimbo Fisher has always turned away from the NFL, so I can't see that. But his time has run out in college, and he really should try something else.
Yep.
Who else could I see? That's the top two off the top of my head that I can think of.
No, that's what I said. I was thinking of college coaches too for the Chargers, and because you're going experienced, non-experienced, younger, but maybe
I wouldn't go college for the Chargers unless it was something like you were going back, and I don't mean this guy in particular. I'm only saying his name because he vacillated between the two. But like if you were going back to get a Bill O'Brien from college and bring him back to the NFL, that would be somebody experienced. But for the Raiders, that would make sense, but not for the Chargers. I don't think.
I agree. It's going to be tough no matter what. This may not be a good time to fire Staley, or fire McDaniels, but I don't think we have a choice. I think that's what's going to eventually happen.
Oh no, it's the perfect time to fire McDaniels because John Gruden is a free agent, so they can just bring him back in on the offseason and just bring it back to right where it was before. But for the Chargers, yeah, that's a little bit harder because the hottest free agent on the market for coaching would be Kellen Moore.
Right, which you have under contract.
You have in-house, right? Yeah.
The other game to discuss, the Chiefs versus the Broncos, 19-8. I got to be honest with you, that game was kind of tough to watch myself.
Very hard to watch.
Russell Wilson only passed for 95 yards total in the game.
Yeah.
They only had 197 yards offense total for the Broncos. Mahomes threw for over 300. Kelsey, 9 catches for 124 yards. Basically, that's the highlights right there of the game. Because if you actually watch that for 3 hours, God bless you, because I think I fell asleep like 3 or 4 times on the couch.
Yeah, I always, during those games, I like to just work while I'm watching. So I'm always doing something on my computer for my business or the shows or whatever. So that way, if it is a horrible game, I can just passively pay attention while I'm really not paying attention. It was one of those games, and it was hard to watch. I did have it on in the background while I was working, so I did have it on the whole time because there was nothing else on, I don't believe. Actually, I think I was switching back and forth between baseball. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. I really have nothing else to say about this. I am so tired of talking about the Broncos and how much trash that they are and how much of a disgrace of a franchise they are. And I realize that my Raiders have been there. We're not there at the moment, but we've been there. But this is just sad out there. I feel bad because Denver is my favorite city in the United States, but I hate the Broncos, so it's kind of a weird dichotomy. But I definitely feel bad for the people in Denver, but they're horrible. Horrible team, horrible coach. Sean Payton deserves everything that he is getting right now for the stuff that he did in the offseason, all that uncouthness we talked about. So he deserves that. Russell Wilson's washed. I thought maybe he had a chance to reinvent himself with Sean Payton, but it's proved that that's just not going to happen. You don't need to see any more. 95 yards proves to you he has enough weapons that it should not be like that. Other quarterbacks would take a lot better advantage of the weapons that he has. So it's over. They're going to run the rest of the season out with what they have. At some point, they may run Jared Stidham out there like the Raiders did last year when they were getting rid of Carr. I can see a similar situation to that. And then Sean Payton takes over, but then what do you do, right? You go get your own quarterback, maybe out of college. Maybe they get the number 1 pick. I don't know.
Well, that's the whole key is I believe that's what they're looking for right now is getting that quarterback in that they want, maybe ride it out for the first couple games of the season with, Wilson or Stidham, and then bring that first-round pick into the, because there's a ton of good quarterbacks, obviously, coming out this year.
Right. Yep.
The list is pretty long, so they should be able to get somebody to come in, and they got to start over because what it is right now is not good. They got the Packers this week coming up. Broncos are only getting a point. Over under is 45. What's your thoughts on that game?
Like I said on the Bottom Line Sports yesterday, this is a must win for them. It's a must win for the team, a must win for the franchise. It might be a must win for Sean Payton. I mean, I can't foresee them firing him, but if he were to go like 1-15 or 1-16 or something, could we? I mean, I don't know. They could be actively tanking, like you mentioned, so that could be another thing too. But yeah, I mean, it's a must win for that city, that state, that franchise, that team, everything. It's a must win, but they're not going to. They're probably going to lose.
I think the Packers win this game. Broncos aren't going to score. I think that's a big problem. Over under is 45. I'd probably go under with that for that game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I don't think the Broncos have scored more than 20 points at all this season.
They have not. Nope.
So it's going to be tough for them. And like you said, it's a good possibility. Sean Payton, he wanted to come in. He was, had all these teams supposedly looking for him. And, he was the coach that, was going to turn around everything and bring Broncos back to, to the glory days. It hasn't happened. And at some point you just got to just move to the future and not the retreads of the past,
Yep. And that's the thing, like how shiny and how, elevated did we make Sean Payton when really he only won one Super Bowl in New Orleans with Drew Brees. And I mean, that was a confluence of events after Hurricane Katrina that just came to be. It was basically divine intervention that he had such a great team. But I mean, let's look back at Bountygate. Let's look back at all these other things. Sean Payton wasn't always a great coach. So really, I think he's just been elevated off of that one Super Bowl win to be this magical, coach that's going to change your fortunes. And, that's not what people need right now. Magic doesn't do things. They need a coach that's going to come in there, put in the work, and get wins like we mentioned, Reed, Sirianni, play coaches like that. So
I agree. All right, the last game to talk about is the Chargers versus the Chiefs. Tough game in Arrowhead. I'm going to start by just saying this. As bad as we somewhat, as a Chargers fan, put down the play of the team at any certain point of time, it always seems like the Chargers play pretty well at Arrowhead for some reason. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. So even coming off that loss against the Cowboys, having the issues with the defense, obviously not having that high-powered offense going right now, I still think that this game is going to be a close game and could possibly be a winnable game for the Chargers. I do think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter, and obviously Staley's going to have an involvement in this game. And, do I have any faith in him making the right calls? No, not at all. But right now the Chargers are getting 5.5. The over-under is 50. I could see this game being a field goal game. Omar, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, what's funny that you say that as you were going through that, I recall back in my mind just watching, I mean, obviously being a Raiders fan and watching the AFC West so much, I've seen plenty of games at Arrowhead with a bunch of teams. And now that I recall, Kansas City always plays very, very close divisional games at home. And I go back to remembering when we sucked really bad and we were winning, 2 games, and they weren't that good either. This was pre-Mahomes. They were at 6-8 wins too. So it's not like they were great, but we were really not good at this time. And I remember, winning games against them in Arrowhead 10-6. Actually, I was there for a 10-6 victory. And that's what I'm thinking of. But also I remember all the games at Arrowhead being close field goal games. So yeah, I do see that. That being said, I want to say it's a must win for the Chargers too, as I did for the Broncos. But the thing is, I don't even think that the Chargers think that they can beat the Chiefs, and nor do I think that ownership believes that. So while I would say that normally this would be a must win, I don't think so, because I just don't think the Chargers expect to win. So I think that the Chiefs win Field goal game sounds good to me. But I also could see the Chargers winning this by a field goal. So, I'm up in the air about this, but I did take the Chiefs in my official picks. So,
it's one of those things. And I read an article today on one of the Chargers fan pages that I belong to. And, they brought this whole thing up that it just seems like as down as we get and as low as we get on Staley and the team and the offense and the defense, all of a sudden, all that goes away because we have a good game against the Chiefs. And it seemed like that last year. We played a couple of good games. We were down. All of a sudden, we were right in the game, that one game where Staley completely blew the end there. But it gets us going again. We're like, oh, okay, well, this team is pretty good and could be pretty good if they get on a run. That's always in the mind of the Chargers fans. We say it all the time. After all these bad losses and how things go, we always say, man, if we can get on a run, we have the talent to get on a run. 4 or 5 games, if we can get on a winning streak, we could be right back into this season. And we say this every single year. And, sometimes we do win a couple games there. And last year we made the playoffs. So it does happen. And this just seems like this is that same, same thing that's going on again. It feels like we're back in the same place that we are every single year. And unfortunately, you eventually want to get to the point as a Charger fan of saying, you know what? We're better than the Chiefs. We don't care. We're going to win, and we're taking the division. It's, I haven't said that in a long, long time, unfortunately. But I just feel like this is one of those games where they're going to have a good, strong showing. The game is probably going to be on national TV at 4:00, because of it being the Chiefs and, the whole Kelsey Swift thing going on. So I'm sure they're going to want to put Swift on as much as they can. And I just feel that this is a game that the Chargers they're going to play well. And, the Chiefs offense, their receivers aren't like those, high voltage type receivers. So maybe we have a chance to stay with them a little bit better than some of the other high powered offenses and higher power receivers that we've faced so far. So maybe it does stay somewhat close. That's my thought. I don't think we win because I don't think we have the coaching to figure out game management and what to do at the end of the game. So I think it's going to be, same result as it always is, but it should be an interesting game. It's going to be an entertaining game to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with anything that you said there. Everything you said was spot on, and you know your team better than I do. So I definitely could see a Chargers win. And again, I would say it's a must win, but I don't think that they're going to fire Staley till the end of the year anyways. And I think that at this point, knowing how good the Chiefs are, yes, their receiving core, as you mentioned, is their weakness at this moment. But as long as you keep just throwing the ball to Kelsey and he can stay uninjured, then, I mean, the Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs and they're going to be fine. So I'm not worried about them. Not that I would be worried about them because I hope they suck, but they'll be fine. They're going to be the team that we know them to be. It's really, can the Chargers be who we thought they were going to be? And at the beginning of the season, we both thought that they were the playoff team. They were that wild card team out of the AFC West. So can they do it?
We will see. Should be an interesting week this week. I'm looking forward to the games. Should be fun. Omar, what do you got going on for the rest of the week?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I just want to promote my show tomorrow night, Ball and Buds. If you are a UFC, MMA, boxing, combat sports fan, the Ball and Buds, we have our UFC and combat sports insider, Clubber D, the Combat G. He joins me for UFC pay-per-views, and we also do a combat sports special about every 3 weeks. We usually do it on Saturdays, but since UFC 294 is in Abu Dhabi on Saturday, it's going on at 2 p.m. Eastern. So we are doing a special Thursday edition tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. on the West Coast. And then our friends with the Broncos, 5 p.m. But yeah, catch us. We're going to be talking everything boxing, MMA, UFC. The UFC card this weekend is huge. With the Volkanovski Makhachev #2 fight for the lightweight title, and then Usman versus Chimaev for the middleweight. So please join us. Subscribe at Ball and Buds. You can watch it there. You can also watch it on Facebook at The Bottom Line Sports, and it'll also be on all the Let's Talk Sports channels. So if you're already subscribed there, as Rob said, just go hit the notification button on the Let's Talk Sports channel, and you'll see us tomorrow night. Again, thank you. We look forward to you joining us. Ball and Buds Combat Sports tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you.
Sounds good. And before I go, I just want to say again, next Monday night, Omar was excited about it. He got his shirt out. Bully Ray, Bubba Ray from the Dudley Boys, Mischief Night at Bar Anticipation, Raw viewing party, Q&A from 7 to 8, Monday Night Raw at 8 p.m. Come dressed as your favorite wrestler. That should be pretty good. Free admission and drink specials. Monday, October 30th, Mischief Night. Bully Ray, I assure you, it'll be a fun night. Trust me.
I wish I could be there. I want to be there. So I just wish that sounds so much fun. I wish I could be there. Shout out Bully Ray. Bubba Ray. If you don't go dressed up as a Dudley boy to this party, you are sadly mistaken. It's very easy. Tie-dye shirts, some what is that called? Suspenders or overalls.
Some plastic glasses.
Yeah, there you go. Some plastic sunglasses. All y'all can do it. Go and join Rob. That sounds like an amazing time. Wow.
Yeah, it should be fun. But again, if Let's Talk Sports Network, please subscribe, hit the notifications button so you know when all your shows are coming on. Omar, again, thank you so much for joining me today. Next week, we will have Lisa back, so it'll be the three of us. But thanks again for spending the time with me. Have fun. Good luck with everything and all your shows that you got coming up.
Shout out my brother Derek. I see you. Raiders fan. I see you.
Have a good one, man.
Later.